Most people over 75 can't do this simple thing. If you can, you're aging backward. If you're over 75 and can still open a jam jar, walk for 10 minutes without tiring or squat, and stand without holding on. Congratulations, you're aging in reverse. I'm not saying this to brag. I'm saying it so you realize something important. Most people over 65 are quietly losing strength without even knowing it. I'm Dr. James, 80 years old. I still cook my own meals, ride my bike every morning, and even fix a leaky faucet on my own. People ask me, what's your secret to staying as strong as someone in their 60s? It's not about fancy supplements or strict diets. I simply tell them this: I never ignore the small signs my body gives me each day. The truth is, your body always whispers warnings long before it breaks down. But if you don't learn how to listen, one day you may fall and not be able to get back up again. In this video, I'm going to share with you 9 incredibly simple tests. No equipment needed, and none take more than 3 minutes. But they can help you see clearly whether you're getting stronger or slowly losing the things that matter most. And at the end of this video, I'll give you my personal morning formula, a habit I believe is the key to living with strength, energy, and joy every single day. If you're entering your later years and want to walk through them with dignity, I invite you to stay with me until the end. And if you think this is something worth sharing, please hit like, subscribe, and leave a comment about one thing you can still do today. Who knows? You might be the very inspiration someone else needs. Let's begin. Because turning 75 doesn't mean slowing down. It means it's time to start living smarter than ever. 1. Grip loss, life loss. A stubborn jar lid. Could be a warning from your brain and nervous system. Have you ever gotten frustrated just because you couldn't open a jar of jam in the morning? I have. The first time it happened, I laughed. The second time, I blamed the jar. But the third time, I went quiet. Because I knew when your hands get weaker, it's not just about muscle. It's often a quiet message from your nerves and your brain. I'm Dr. James, 80 years old, and after decades of working with older adults, I've learned something surprising. Grip strength, something that seems so simple, is actually one of the earliest and most reliable signs of memory decline. A study from Tufts University found that seniors with weaker grip strength had up to a 70% higher risk of developing dementia-related conditions within 5 years. Why? Because grip strength doesn't just come from your hands. It's the result of coordination between your muscles, your peripheral nervous system, and the motor control centers in your brain. When any part of that system starts to weaken, your hands are often the first to let you know. I remember one patient, Mr. Miller, 77, a smart, cheerful man who loved fishing. But then he started dropping cups. He couldn't open soda bottles anymore. When I gave him a basic memory test, he couldn't recall his own grandson's birthday. That's when we discovered he was in the early stages of Alzheimer's. I'm not telling you this to scare you. I'm telling you so you'll try one simple thing. Go grab that old jar of jam sitting in your pantry. Try opening it. If it's hard, don't just blame your joints. See it as a gentle nudge. And try asking yourself a few quick memory questions. Can you remember what you ate yesterday? Do you sometimes mix up details when telling a story? Have you forgotten small promises you made to loved ones? The good news is your brain can recover if you wake it up the right way. Squeezing a rubber ball, doing puzzles, handwriting a short note every morning. These small actions help maintain the connection between your hands and your brain. So if you can still open that jar with ease, congratulations. You're holding on to something truly valuable. And if you can't, maybe today is the perfect day to start getting it back. Have you ever been surprised by how your hands felt suddenly weaker? What did you do about it? Share your story in the comments, because what you've learned might be exactly what someone else needs to hear right now. 2. Can you still keep your balance? If so, you're quietly beating aging without realizing it. Can you still bend down and pick something up from the floor without needing to hold on to anything? If your answer is yes, then congratulations, because after 75, only 1 in 3 seniors in America can still do that seemingly simple thing without losing their balance. In over 40 years working in geriatrics, I've seen far too many falls that started with nothing more than bending over to grab a coin or reaching for something that dropped. People often think you fall, you just get back up. But I've seen those same falls take lives, or at the very least, take away someone's independence for good. The real issue isn't the coin. It's the fact that your balance system is weakening. Reflexes slow down. Core muscles weaken. Your sense of stability isn't what it used to be. Every time you bend over, your body has to coordinate dozens of muscles plus signals from your inner ear, eyes, and spine just to keep you steady. And when that system starts to falter, you get wobbly, and a fall becomes just a matter of time. I remember Mr. Harry, he was 81. He came in after falling twice in a single month, both times while picking something up. He said, "I just figured I was being clumsy." But when we tested his balance, his core strength, and posture control, we found several key muscle groups had already weakened. He just didn't realize it. And he came close to losing his ability to walk, just because of a towel on the floor and nothing nearby to grab onto. But here's the good news. Fixing it isn't complicated. Start by trying this simple test at home. Stand with your feet together, close your eyes, and try to stay balanced for 10 seconds. If you feel yourself sway, that's your early warning. And here's a small daily habit that helps: stand on one foot for 10 seconds, then switch to the other. Repeat 3 times per leg. Just be sure to stand near a sturdy surface for safety. And if you're caring for a loved one, don't just focus on their blood pressure or blood sugar. Pay attention to how they move, how they bend, how steady they are. Sometimes those little things are the body's way of whispering before a major fall shouts. Have you ever lost your balance when bending down? What helped you get steadier? Share your story in the comments. Your experience might help someone else avoid a life-changing accident. In the next part, I'll talk about another silent red flag, that lightheaded, dizzy feeling when standing up from a chair. Stick around. 3. Suddenly forgetting a loved one's name. Don't brush it off. I remember that moment so clearly. It was a Saturday afternoon. The whole family had gathered, and laughter filled the kitchen. My youngest granddaughter ran over, wrapped her arms around my leg, looked up at me and said, "Grandpa, I missed you so much." I bent down, gently stroked her hair, and I couldn't remember her name. I saw her sweet face. I heard her familiar voice. But her name, it was lost somewhere in a fog inside my mind. I'm a geriatric doctor. I'm 80 years old now. I've spent my life treating others, but that day, I was afraid for myself. I used to think those moments were just normal aging, little lapses that come with getting older. But over time, I came to understand something important. There's a very thin line between ordinary forgetfulness and true cognitive decline. And if you're not paying attention, you may not even realize when you've crossed that line. So, what's the difference? Normal forgetfulness is when you forget someone's name, but it comes back to you a few minutes later. But forgetting the name of your own grandchild, someone you deeply love and see every week, and it keeps happening, that's a red flag. Dementia doesn't come crashing in like a storm. It slips in quietly, like a soft fog that slowly spreads through the mind until one day you can't find your way out. I started doing a small but powerful exercise. Every night before bed, I write down the names of 5 loved ones, plus 3 recent memories I've shared with them. On the nights I can't remember them all, that's my signal I need to reconnect. Talk more, relive old memories, keep those bonds alive in my brain. Because the brain is just like a muscle. If you don't use it, it weakens. But if you work it even gently, it can grow stronger again. Yes, even after 80, I know, because I'm living proof. If you've ever forgotten the name of someone important and felt that hollow ache, you're not alone. Tell me about that moment in the comments. And if you can still remember the names of all your loved ones, treasure it. That's not something to take for granted. It's a gift, and one worth protecting every day. For just 10 minutes of walking, the silent test of your heart's health. People often ask me, Doctor, how can I know if my heart is still healthy? I don't send them for lab tests, EKGs, or treadmill scans. I simply ask, today can you walk for 10 straight minutes without getting winded? I'm a geriatric doctor, 80 years old now, and I truly believe the most effective cardio test doesn't happen in a clinic. It happens right in the hallway of your own home. Because after 75, walking ability is no longer just about muscle. It's a living scan of your heart, lungs, and entire circulatory system. I remember Mr. Bernard, 76 years old. He came in because he felt a little tired when grocery shopping. He told me I'm fine, just not as fast as I used to be. But when I had him take a 6-minute walking test, walking back and forth along a 30-foot hallway, he had to stop by minute 4, breathing hard and feeling dizzy. We ran some checks and discovered early signs of left-sided heart failure, something that had never been diagnosed. The scary part. If he hadn't taken that walk that day, no one would have known just how overloaded his heart already was. Here's what I recommend you try each morning. Find a safe hallway about 20 to 30 steps long. Set a timer for 6 minutes. Walk continuously and pay attention to how you feel. If you can't make it the full 6 minutes or have to stop because of fatigue, chest tightness, or shortness of breath, don't ignore it. That's your heart trying to speak to you. And if you can walk for 10 minutes a day without tiring, congratulations. You're not just maintaining your fitness, you're also extending your life. According to the Cleveland Clinic, just 150 minutes of walking a week can reduce the risk of cardiovascular disease in seniors by up to 30%. So how long do you walk each day? Have you noticed any changes? Share your experience. It might just inspire someone who's been hesitating to take that first step. And in the next part, I'll share another vital test. One that doesn't even require walking. All you need to do is stand up from a chair. Don't miss it. 5. Climbing 5 steps. A simple test that predicts your future. Did you know that by watching someone climb just 5 stairs, I can predict part of their ability to stay independent after 75? I know that might sound simple, but I once saw a patient, Mr. Raymond, 81, who came in because he was tired from climbing stairs to the bedroom. Turns out those few steps each day had quietly become the line between living freely in his own home and moving into a nursing facility just 6 months later. You may think you're doing fine, but a study in the European Heart Journal found that adults over 75 who can't climb 5 stairs in a row without stopping to rest have double the risk of losing independence within the next 2 years. Why weak thigh muscles, poor balance, and reduced heart-lung capacity are early signs of physical decline and cardiovascular dysfunction. I often recommend what I call the 5-step test. Find a safe staircase with a handrail. Try climbing 5 steps in a row without holding on, without stopping, and without getting winded. If you can do that, congratulations! You're maintaining a strong physical foundation. If not, don't panic. That's your chance to begin improving. The solution: practice standing up and sitting down from a chair 10 times each morning, or lift each leg for 30 seconds to activate your thighs. Just a few minutes a day can help you stay independent for years longer. Have you tried this test yourself? Share how it went so we can encourage and learn from each other. And up next is something that sounds even simpler: standing still. But if you've ever felt dizzy just from standing in place, you'll want to keep watching. 6. Just standing still feels exhausting. Your body may be sending an urgent message. Have you ever been waiting in line or simply standing and listening to someone speak, and suddenly your back aches, your legs go numb, or you start to feel dizzy after just a few minutes? I used to think that was normal. Until one day, while waiting to pick up my prescription at the pharmacy, I nearly fainted, just from standing still. I wasn't moving. I wasn't carrying anything heavy. I was just standing. I'm a doctor, and I've come to understand this. The problem isn't in your legs. It's in your postural muscles, the ones that keep you balanced when standing still. According to the Cleveland Clinic, as we age, our core muscles weaken. That means blood doesn't circulate to the brain as efficiently when we stand for extended periods. The result? Fatigue, dizziness, or sudden unsteadiness. It's a silent form of physical decline that's far more common than people realize, especially in older adults who aren't very active. One of my patients, Eleanor, age 79, came to see me because she felt dizzy every time I stand too long. After some evaluation, we discovered she had orthostatic hypotension and severe core muscle weakness. We started with simple exercises like tightening her abs while brushing her teeth and standing in a staggered stance to improve stability. Just 3 weeks later, she was able to stand and cook for 30 minutes without needing to lean on anything. So, if you've ever found yourself feeling tired just from standing still, don't ignore it. Your body might be telling you something important. Your ability to stay grounded, both physically and mentally, is being tested. Have you ever felt dizzy while standing still? Share that experience with us, because your story could help someone else stay on their feet a little longer. 7. Driving after 75, a symbol of freedom or a silent risk. This is a sensitive subject, but if you've made it this far, I believe you're strong enough to hear it. I once had a dear friend, Harold, age 83, who absolutely loved his old pickup truck. To him, that truck was a symbol of freedom, of all the adventures he'd taken with his wife. But then one day he got distracted for just 2 seconds while changing lanes and nearly caused a serious accident. After that, he made the decision to stop driving on his own. No one wants to give up that kind of independence. But what many people don't realize is this: according to the CDC, more than 7,000 older adults in the US die each year in car crashes, and most of those accidents happen due to delayed reflexes, poor vision, or trouble reacting to sudden situations. I'm not saying that everyone over 75 should stop driving. What I am saying is, consider taking the driver reflex test. While parked, close your eyes, then open them quickly and try to identify an object on either side of the car. Then quickly press the brake. If your reaction time is more than 2 seconds, that may be a sign it's time to reassess. And don't be afraid to ask your family, "Do you feel safe when I drive?" Sometimes the people around us can see what we don't. If you're still driving safely, congratulations! Keep it that way by having your eyes, ears, and reflexes checked regularly. Avoid driving at night and try not to take long trips alone. Because driving isn't just about freedom, it's about responsibility. And when you choose safety, you're not giving up your freedom. You're protecting it for yourself and for others. What are your thoughts on driving after 75? Leave a comment and share your view. And don't go anywhere, because up next is something you may have never considered: why losing the ability to rise from a chair might be the most powerful signal of aging. 8. Listen carefully. It could be the key to keeping your mind alive. Have you noticed yourself saying "what" more often lately, or sitting at the dinner table smiling politely, but not really following the conversation? I'm Dr. James, 80 years old. I used to think hearing loss was just about not hearing clearly. That is, until I watched my dear friend Bill slowly withdraw from the world. He used to be funny, outgoing, always part of the conversation. But over time, he grew quieter, more distant. He finally admitted to me, "I just can't hear well anymore." And I hate having to keep asking people to repeat themselves. The truth is, Bill's story isn't unique. A study from Johns Hopkins University found that even mild hearing loss doubles the risk of dementia. Moderate loss, triple the risk, and severe hearing loss. It increases the risk 5-fold. Why? Because when your ears can't hear clearly, your brain has to work overtime to guess what's being said. That strain wears down the areas responsible for memory and language. On top of that, seniors with hearing loss often become isolated, which increases the risk of depression, a major driver of brain aging. But here's the thing: you don't need to wait until you're completely deaf to take it seriously. If you've started struggling with phone calls, or your family complains the TV is too loud, those are already signs it's time for a hearing check. I always recommend that anyone over 75 get a hearing test once a year. Most clinics today offer quick, simple screenings. And if you need support, modern hearing aids are smaller, smarter, and more effective than ever before. You can also train your brain to listen better with small habits, like listening to classical music, reading a short passage out loud each day, or chatting with family instead of zoning out to the TV. Because when you can still hear, you can still connect. When was the last time you truly heard birds chirping, your grandchild's laughter, or someone's warm "good morning"? If it feels like it's been a while, maybe today is the day you try to hear again. Not just with your ears, but with your heart. 9. A morning formula to help you live strong, intentional, and full of meaning. After 75, There was a time when I didn't want to get out of bed, not because of back pain or poor sleep, but because every morning I woke up and wondered, what am I even living for? My wife had passed. Friends were fewer and farther between. My children and grandchildren were busy with their lives. And me, at 78, I was left alone with the ticking clock and a house that felt far too quiet. Then one morning I asked myself, if today were the last day I felt healthy, how would I want to begin it? That's when I wrote down my morning formula, a simple routine under 10 minutes that completely changed how I live after 75. And today, as promised at the beginning of this video, I want to share it with you. 1. Wipe your feet with a warm towel. It's both a way to check your health, swelling, numbness, changes in color, and a gentle way to say to your feet, I still need you. 2. Stand tall, stretch your arms, and close your eyes for 10 seconds. If you can hold your balance, you're holding on to both your body and your spirit. 3. Say one sentence out loud. For me, it's I'm still here and I'm going to live this day my way. 4. Drink a glass of warm water with a squeeze of lemon. It wakes up your digestion, circulation, and clarity. 5. Write down one thing you're grateful for. A ray of sunlight, a good meal, a friend who called. This routine didn't make me young again, but it reminded me that I'm still alive with purpose, with value, and with connection to myself. You can start with just one step, just one. And if your morning feels different, because of it, share your story in the comments. I'll be reading, because I believe your morning story might be the light someone else needs in their silent darkness. If this video touched something inside, you please hit like, subscribe to the channel, or share it with someone you love. Maybe you don't need it today, but someone close to you just might. I'll see you again in another Healthy Wisdom video when you begin once more with awareness and a heart full of inspiration.